Peace, guys. How's it going? Patrick, Conservative Rap. And in this video, we'll get into the economic news and what's happening with the tariffs. When it comes to the tariff case, in my mind, Trump is most likely to win. He has export controls and other mechanisms he could use if the Supreme Court doesn't go his way. But it's fundamentally, logically, unsound. You have even the opposing side admitting that the president has the right to exercise full-scale embargoes. So if you can exercise a full-scale stop on trade with a country, why could you not use a less drastic measure? It's a very clear forward argument. Let's get into some X clips to just cover this so we can just kill this and put it to bed. And this is from MJ Truth Ultra. Here we go. Supreme Court justices grill Trump's tariff authority in oral arguments. Given what I just heard from the following case, I believe the Supreme Court is likely to uphold the president's authority to impose these tariffs. Kavanaugh questions the odd donut hole in the statute. Right, a president can shut down all trade or impose quotas with every country, but not a 1% tariff, arguing it lacks common sense. Gutman argues tariffs are fundamentally different power, akin to taxation for revenue, while the statute authorizes controlling or freezing trade like embargoes, not revenue-raising measures. Gutman emphasizes context matters. No other federal statute uses regulate to authorize tariffs or taxes, and tariffs fall under commerce power, not taxation, citing historical figures like John Marshall and Joseph Story. Barrett notes the interpretation allows embargoes on global trade but bars minor tariffs, probing if tariffs undermine the statute's goal of controlling transactions during emergencies. Gutman clarifies embargoes ensure hard limits, no more than 1,000 units imported, while tariffs only add costs without guaranteeing control, potentially allowing trade to continue. Justice Jackson challenges why blocking all trade isn't a bigger deal than a small tariff, and questions reliance on the Algonquin case, which was statutory interpretation, not constitutional. Gutman responds that Algonquin looked at text, context, and legislative history, suggesting Congress intended emergency powers for stopping trade, not even revenue generation. Justice discussed framers' concerns. Revenue-raising powers were core to Article 1, posing different risks than trade controls, and tariffs might create incentives misaligned with emergency goals. Overall, Lena SCOTUS judges, remember, this is a bite-sized morsel of the entire argument. Conservative justices, Kavanaugh, potentially Alito based on related reports, appear more open to the administration's interpretation, questioning the limitations on presidential tariff authority and expressing concern about removing it from the suite of tools for economic emergencies. Liberal justices, Jackson and possibly others, seem to be probing the breadth of presidential power, potentially leaning towards a narrower interpretation that aligns with historical constitutional concerns about revenue-raising authorities. My educated guess, given the current composition of the Supreme Court and the oral arguments, it's likely the majority will side with the administration, upholding president's authority to impose tariffs under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. The conservative majority, particularly Kavanaugh, possibly Alito, seem concerned about limiting presidential tools in economic emergencies, and the historical and contextual arguments presented by Gutman may resonate with them. However, the end decision may be narrow, focusing on the specific statutory interpretation rather than broadly expanding presidential power, to garner a majority that includes some swing votes like Justice Roberts or Justice Barrett. When to expect an answer, given that arguments occurred today, we can expect a decision sometime between late May and early July 2026, which means the tariffs we have in effect now will continue for this whole time. So this is awesome. Let's take a quick listen. Not the whole thing, but let's just take a quick listen.
Mr. Katyal referred to common sense several times, and I want to pick up on Justice Barrett's question because your interpretation of the statute, as she pointed out, would allow the president to shut down all trade with every other country in the world or to impose some significant quota on imports from every other country in the world, but would not allow a 1% tariff. And that leaves, in the government's words in its brief, an odd donut hole in the statute. Why would a rational Congress say, yeah, we're going to give the president the power to shut down trade? I mean, think about the effects. But you're admitting that power's in there. Yeah. But can't do a 1% tariff. that doesn't seem, but I want to get your answer, to have a lot of common sense behind it.
I think it absolutely does, because it's a fundamentally different power. It's
Done. Yeah, and I mean, you could, for this, head over to MJ Truth Ultra and listen to the full clip to hear the response. But we all know this is about stopping the economic freedom and the continuation of the golden age that Trump is creating. Right now, there's a lot of focus on the geopolitical front because the deep state's only residing power is in creating global war and global conflict. Trump and the Patriots need to interrupt that before they can get to the full-scale economic agenda that, of course, the people are asking for, the people have voted for, and it'll coincide with the midterms perfectly. Let's hear more from MJ Truth Ultra. President Trump will win SCOTUS tariff case, and he's just clipping to this Newsmax. Let's take a quick listen.
Was at the Supreme Court to watch the discussion today and joins us now. Sir, good to have you back on. What did you see today? What do you think? How do you think they're leaning?
Well, I think they're leaning toward the president. So what happened is General Sauer, our Solicitor General, was out first, and the justices were tough. Let's hit. They were asking them tough questions. But when the other side got up, wow, it was very, very strong. And so I left very upbeat and very positive. And I think these justices are going to come down in favor of the president's powers because he's stopping the emergency of what's happened to trade against the United States of America. Everybody knows it. And some of those discussions were really, really interesting. And that's why it's fun to be on the show to sort of talk about exactly what some of these justices said.
There was so much doom and gloom when you went down the tariff road. Everybody said this was going to be just so damning for the economy. The Atlanta Fed, and I think we have a graphic to show here, is indicating they think third quarter GDP is going to be at around 4%. That's a big number. That's a very healthy, robust number for the economy. Do you think that plays into the minds at all? If the Supreme Court's looking at this, if they saw an economy that was crashing, if they saw, indications that tariffs were really doing damage, I feel like that might impact their vote. They're not seeing that, though.
Of course, if the stock market was going,
yeah.
I mean, which way is the stock market going? Up, up, up. Which way is the economy going? 3.8 last quarter, estimates of 4.4% this quarter. I mean, the economy is on fire because of Donald Trump's economy is one that says tariffs, come on, build in America. The president's been saying north of $15 trillion coming to build in America. That's going to grow our economy more than 4%. It could grow our economy more than 5%. I mean,
yeah.
These are numbers no one's ever thought are possible for America, and it's driven by Donald Trump's trade and tariff agenda.
If this doesn't go your way, do you get...
Amazing. Just moving on, Kobisi letter and Endgame macro. The real battle isn't over tariffs, it's over control. If tariffs are ruled illegal, the real danger is losing speed and leverage in a world where both matter. Tariffs under emergency powers like IEEPA give the president the ability to hit fast, send a signal, and shift negotiations before the other side adjusts. If the courts take that away, the U.S. loses some of that unpredictability, and in geopolitics, predictability can be weakness. It also creates confusion at home. Businesses that move supply chains, invested in domestic production, or hedged around those tariffs suddenly face uncertainty again. That kind of policy whiplash slows capital formation and risks undoing some of the strategic reshoring that's been building up. All right, and U.S. markets extend gains to a new high of the day as the odds of Trump's tariffs being ruled as legal by the Supreme Court. I mean, look at this. This is great. And lastly, just also equally importantly, Brian Cates. Wait, people actually think the Supreme Court is going to decide the tariff case this week or something? They're hearing oral arguments. They won't vote for weeks. Maybe won't even release their opinion for months sometime next year. Do people think Trump's about to lose power to impose tariffs by the end of this year or something? And obviously not. Again, it's a new economic reality that's forming. By this time next year, after the tax cuts, the prices continue to come down, we're going to be looking at a new golden age and a different sort of momentum that I think is going to really swing the midterms of 2026 further right than we've ever seen before. What do you think? Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share, and check me out at ConservativeRap.com for more. Thanks and take care.